Look what you did, you little jerk!
What's going on, jerk faces? And welcome to another episode of the Circle of Jerks podcast. We're going to be reviewing the great classic from 1979, Ridley Scott's Alien. And we have one of our favorite guests back to talk about it. David, welcome back, buddy.
What's going on, fellas?
What up, bro?
And of course, we always have Andy with us. Andy doing all the important stuff behind the scenes to keep this thing running.
Yeah, it's like that old cartoon of like the industrial factory, and like the one guy like spinning all of the gears and and releasing the pressure, just like running around. Yeah, that's me.
Hey, you're like the characters from Metropolis. Like they're just like that are just
yeah. That's right.
Like the weird clock thing.
Oh yeah, like the shh.
Hey,
God forbid.
Gotta have somebody to work
his lights.
I know someone's got to do it, right? Might as well be the goop.
Jesus.
yeah, because the white people ain't doing it.
Exactly.
Oh man. But yeah, we're gonna be kind of slowly working on doing the Alien series review. So obviously we got to start with the first one. That's 1979's Alien. How did you guys first come to Alien?
David, you first.
Oh, me first? All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Actually, I think it was a Saturday matinee, Sunday matinee right after church. My dad was like, sat us down in front of the TV and it came on, and God, that was back in 85 86 was whenever I first seen it. So
Okay, all right. Andy, I'm assuming your infamous cousins were the ones.
All of my it's my older cousins. I think they were watching it, and I remember seeing it, but I think at the time I was still obviously I was younger than them, but I think this is one of the movies where I just couldn't I couldn't stand it, so I just left the room because because it's basically a horror monster movie in space. But yeah, so at that time I couldn't deal, so I I just picked myself up and I left the room. But then when I did get a bit older, I think I watched it with some friends at at one of my friends' house.
Yeah, this for me was one of those films. It had to have been I probably watched it when I was over at my grandparents' house, because my grandfather had a huge collection of VHS tapes, and I do remember. And so I watched a lot of shit that I probably should not have seen when I was a kid, but but the other thing too is I before I saw this movie, I had seen this movie. This has David, this was what we call cinematic archaeology. Is that this film has been parodied in a bunch of different ways, and the movie that I remember that was one of the first ones to parody Alien was a little film called Galaxina, which Andy loved that movie. But it has it does kind of make fun.
I loved it so much.
The chest burster scene, the cryo chambers and stuff like that. It kind of made fun of that aspect of Alien, and it's so I kind of knew some of the stuff that I would be seeing in Alien before I actually watched the movie. So maybe it wasn't quite as shocking when I did see it, when I was 10.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, so like I said, I probably saw I was 9 or 10 at my grandparents' house, watching VHS tapes during my stays over during the summer and winter. But yeah, why don't we dive into this?
Hold on. Andy, how old were you when you ran into the cousins?
Oh, Yeah, they're like my cousins were very much older than me. There's I think there was like at least like maybe like a 15-year age gap between
Oof,
us.
man.
Um, and so yeah, I was probably like 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. So me and you were right around the same age when we first seen it.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah. See, I wasn't able to run out the room though. My dad was like, "No, we're gonna sit down and watch this whole movie," because my dad was real big into watching like Freddy Krueger and
Mhm,
Jason, and back
mhm.
then, in the '80s, there wasn't really like a age appropriate rating like there is
Yeah, yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
So whatever father was watching on TV is what we watched.
Yeah, it's like you can
Right.
either watch this or you can go somewhere
Yeah, or at least
else.
yeah. I mean, it's ubiquitous now, but people of a certain age never knew, particularly television without some sort of rating on it. Um,
Yeah.
that was an invention from like the late '90s. Uh,
Yeah, because I don't ever remember seeing like a PG-13 or rated R,
or like yeah, like
before.
now when they play movies on TV, it's like TVMA or TVY14 or
Right.
it's like that was an invention, and I think interestingly enough, that they only instituted those ratings after um, Power Rangers came on the air because they did some sort of analysis, and they found like uh, Power Rangers was more violent than like Ninja Turtles or some comparative
Right.
cartoon from the West.
Wow.
You know,
That's
and
crazy.
so yeah, but if you think about it, it's only violent. It's only violent comparative to the culture because they're using
Mhm.
they're using footage from like the Japanese TV show.
Super
And
Sentai,
yeah,
yeah.
Super Sentai, and
Yep.
so I was like, I don't know, maybe Japanese kids like could tell the difference. Like, oh yeah, that's completely fake.
Because they're not idiots.
Yeah. So I
If
guess I guess the Japanese censors
They got it
understands like,
figured
oh,
out.
our children's smart.
yeah, if your kid can't tell the difference between like reality and like fantasy, that's a
They're
problem. Maybe they
yeah,
shouldn't be watching television to begin with.
Right.
exactly.
All right.
Um,
Yeah. So I'll hit everyone with the synopsis for the movie, and
yeah,
then we'll get going. All right. This is the synopsis for Alien from 1979. In deep space, the crew of the commercial starship Nostromo is awakened from their cryosleep capsules halfway through their journey home to investigate a distress call from an alien vessel. The terror begins when the crew encounters a nest of eggs inside the alien ship. An organism from inside an egg leaps out and attaches itself to one of the crew, causing him to fall into a coma.
I had to say this is quite a stacked cast for this movie. Obviously, we didn't know who at the time. We didn't really know about a lot about like Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt. I don't know if like how big he was at the time. He's top billed, but guys
Right.
like
But I think Tom Skerritt was a known actor, but I think he was I think he was like in the middle of his career.
yeah, like but arguably like Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, and Yaphet Kotto were like the bigger stars because I mean Yaphet Kotto had been doing stuff. He was a Bond villain. He was in the first Roger Moore Bond film.
Mm.
Uh, I mean later on, if you guys remember Homicide: Life on the Streets, he was part of that. Um, so he has a whole like library of stuff because he actually just recently passed away a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remember because Criterion released a bunch of his films, yeah, in kind of honoring him. Uh, but yeah, so he did like a bunch of stuff in like the '70s and like into the '80s and '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, but like obviously, like a lot of this cast ended up. This movie is what they're remembered for. You
Mm-hmm.
remember all these characters from this movie.
Yeah,
Obviously,
you get 'em.
the other thing I found out too about this is the way that the script was written is that it wasn't like, oh, Ripley's going to be the final one to survive. That was not how it was set up. In fact, none of the cast knew who was going to be the final survivor of this movie, and it could have gone like it was set up like where it could have gone either way. Any one of them could have been the final person. It just so happened that they ended up, I don't know if it was like they flipped a coin or pulled straws or whatever, and then it turned out that Ripley was the survivor. And it does feel natural because you don't really make. I wouldn't say that the crew is making a bunch of bad decisions, and the real villain of the film is not the alien. The alien's doing what it's supposed to do.
Right.
It's Ash. Yeah, Ash turns out to be Ash and technically the company, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, they're the real villain of the film, which is at the time I would imagine when you first watch it, it's like, oh shit, he's the guy that's doing everything, and it turns out he's a freaking robot, not a human.
Android.
Yeah.
Yeah, Android.
But the one thing I did notice, like this time, I really focused on like watching like Ash's what he was doing, and yeah, all of his mannerisms and movements are very suspect. Like while everyone's kind of cutting up and like cracking jokes and having fun, Ash is not doing any of that stuff. He's very, he's kind of just watching everybody. When they're trying to figure things out, he is kind of like sneaking around in the background doing stuff. There's also like this weird, like when stuff is starting to go wrong, he does this like weird, like, like his like little weird dance that he does. Like he's super excited that things are going wrong, which is like, what the man, this is fucked up.
And he's always the first, like if something goes wrong, he was always like pretty much the first one there.
Yeah.
But then he disappears.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a little rat. And the other thing it turns out, because the crew, I think they've been working together for at least a few missions, so like they're used to each other. And the other thing is that we find out from Dallas that Ash was like a last minute addition. Like I had been working with this other science officer, but the corporation wanted me to bring this guy on instead at the last second for this mission. And that's like, oh shit. Like, so like now that we know the twist, it's like, now like, okay, there was something afoot from the very beginning.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but do you think that the company was intending to use this crew for this particular mission, or was it after they went to like the first drop off or pickup location, that's when they made the switch?
Oh no! See, based off like the fact that like Ash was like this like last second addition before they went off to do their mission. Oh, I think they always intended to fuck this crew over.
Oh yeah.
Wait. What I'm thinking is like, was it from like because I don't know if they have multiple stops, but because if they're just like if they're a freighter, right? I would think that there are multiple stops that they have to make, and so I'm wondering, like, is it that they plan to use the Nostromo from the beginning? So like, they leave Earth, with with Ash, or is they go like as they're doing their route at some place off in like the colonies or whatever, that's when they make the switch.
No. Ash was there from the very beginning.
Was from the very beginning.
Okay. I just needed that clarification. Yeah.
They intended to screw the crew over, so
okay.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
that's pretty evil to think, because like this is a commercial like a freighter, and like why are they using them and not like an actual science vessel?
Right.
I think that I think the reason why is because they weren't sure exactly how this alien life form worked, but they figured like don't we want to make sure that we bring it on board, whether that kills the crew or not. But like if they were like let's say they were a really trained like science crew, or like kind of
Yeah, professionals.
professionals, I think that would have hindered like, oh hey, this is dangerous, we shouldn't be doing this, and they kind of just forego doing that. Whereas like these guys, they're coal miners essentially.
Oh yeah, they're the canaries. They're the canaries.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where it's like, okay, well, they're expendable. They're not gonna like no, they're not gonna be looking for these signs.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that was the reason why they were used, which is it's really evil.
That's why I paid it. That's like I paid attention to the two other guys, the engineers. What were their names?
Her and
Bert and the other fella.
Harry Dean Stanton's character.
Brett.
What was?
Yeah, Brett.
Brett.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brett and
Right.
Brett
Right.
and Parker. They're the engineers.
Right.
Because I liked how they acted together and how they were always the comedic ones. And they were always like, okay, look, we're going here, so we should get a piece of the action too. And it was like, okay, these guys, like you were saying, Robert, it was Andy, I think, just a second ago, about the professionalism with the should have been the scientist or these the company screwing over these fellas. Is the company knew what they were doing. They were paying salvagers to go somewhere that they had no business going to. They were thinking that they were picking up some junk, essentially.
Yeah, that's well. I mean, like, because they were like mining some planet for like some sort of minerals or whatever, and then but like that wasn't the real mission. The real mission was to take them to that planet that had that crashed spaceship, because I'm sure that the company knew about that way before they ever got that quote unquote distress signal. But yeah, I do love Parker and Brett, like the way that they ended, because right from the get-go, it's like we really need to be talking about this bonus situation. It's like, and after like they they land on the planet and they're like trying to that's like the ship's all fucked up now, they have to fix it. It's like, and they're still like chattering down underneath about the damn bonus situation, and Ripley's like, it's like, you're gonna get your cut, don't worry about it. It's like, what? You can go fuck right off. What? It's like,
I liked how the old boy, he turned around and he was like reaching up in the thing, and every time Ripley would turn around and say something, you could tell he was twisting that knob to make that steam come out there just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my god, dude! It's like, come on, man.
It's like tell him it's gonna take like 17 hours to fix. Like, it's gonna take 25 hours.
All right, all done. Just
yeah. So it's just, I love those two. They and you have like Brett, who's he's kind of like his like yes man to Parker. He's like, right,
yep,
right. Did you say anything else but like just saying right all the time? Right.
What was it? What was it? Didn't they compare him to a damn parrot?
Yeah, that's exactly what he was. It's he also, but the thing, the funny thing is he had that tropical shirt on too, so of course he's a parrot.
Yeah. Good catch.
Yeah. So so he's a great character. Both those guys are great characters.
Both of them were great.
Dallas, I had a hard time figuring out, like, because he seems like a good guy, but like, he's apparently the captain of the ship. But I'm not really sure about like his character, like how close they were to Dallas, or if like he was kind of someone that they hadn't worked with a lot. because like because like Dallas, Ripley, and Veronica Cartwright's character, Lambert, they seemed, they didn't quite have the same connection that like, and Kane too. Like he's the XO. I think Kane, Lambert, and Dallas were like close because they went down into the ship. And they were desperate, like, hey, we gotta get Kane back on into the infirmary so we can take a look at what this thing that attached to him. And so they're close. But then you have Ripley, who she's probably not as close with them. It's like, yeah, no, that's not what we're gonna do. That goes against the quarantine protocols that we have.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna just stay right out there until we
figure shit out.
And then you have like Ash, the little rat, he's sneaking around and like he overrides the thing and opens up the door for them to come in. It's like, so yeah, it's, you kind of have this group of, you have
Parker. That's probably that's again probably by design by the company, because if you sent a crew that's been working together for many years, there's trust there, and so when someone says, "Oh, something feels off," they're gonna listen to that person,
right?
As opposed to if you do like this kind of patchwork of of crew members. It's like, I haven't worked, I don't know you. I've only worked. This is my first job with you. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, and
why should I listen to you?
Also a reason why they changed up the science officer at the last second. So essentially, you have 4 groups in this team. You have Dallas, Lambert, and Kane. You have Ripley by herself. You have Ash, along with like the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and then you have Parker and Brett. They're
just the everyman.
Yeah. But like I said, you don't have that united front when it comes to like battling this thing, or like seeing like the red flags of like, hey, something's not right here. Something seems a little bit off. So
I like how Kane, because like, to be honest with you, whenever I rewatched it the other day, like I was watching Kane, man. Kane was the one that I watched the whole time, pretty much from the start. And because like whenever the ship turned around and detected a distress call, he was pretty much the first one to move.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, everybody else is still kind of knocked out, and he's kind of getting up, and then you see him reach his arm up, and it was like, okay, this dude's gonna do something.
Yeah, he's the first one that wakes up from the slumber, and like he's the one that's getting up and moving around.
I just thought he was gonna do something. I couldn't believe he was pretty much the first one to get the face hugger on him.
Yeah, that was. It's those eggs, the insides of them, and I think this also is they use like lamb's guts, I think, for like kind of like the inside of the egg, so it's kind of has this like weird, fucked up, gooey look, and then you kind of also see like the thing moving around in the egg. Well, that's the director's hand with like a white glove on. That's his hand that's moving around in the egg.
Nice.
But yeah, they're exploring that ship, and we're all. I don't know if you guys are fans of the NES game, the original Metroid, but do you notice how like the inspiration that the creators of Metroid, clearly they are fans of Alien, because because the alien that they see, that's which we find out later in like Prometheus, are like the engineers or whatever. It's just like this giant like alien that's you see like, man, the chest, like something bursts out of its chest, which is like, we're in deep shit. But yeah, like you see that look in there's like statues that you gain power-ups from that look like
Exactly.
aliens from
Right.
from Alien. The other thing too, like I don't know, same thing with like Contra, like the face huggers. You know, those
Yep.
face huggers are in Contra as well.
Exactly.
Because that movie turns into that game turns it's like, oh, it's this Rambo like shooter, and then it turns into some like, wait, are we like in some sort of alien thing? It's like
Yeah, I was like,
alien.
yeah, Contra was like the unofficial, alien
Alien
game.
Predator.
Yeah. So yeah, you got the face huggers in Contra. You had the engineers in
Metroid.
Metroid. So kind of just like once again,
Yeah,
like
the influence of this movie cannot be understated.
oh yeah, but yeah, so they're going off and exploring the ship. Like it's giant. It's just like it almost looks like a freaking cave that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And Kane, you have Lambert and Dallas. They're all kind of exploring stuff, and then but then Kane travels down into like one of the tunnels of the ship and discovers like it's like a freaking jungle in here. It's so like it's really hot, and he sees like this weird mist that's covering everything, like almost like some sort of shield barrier or something like that. And it's like
The blanket of mist.
Right.
I think honestly, to me, what I think that was, I don't think it was a mist. I think it was like some sort of sensor, and where like those eggs, we don't know how long those eggs have been there. Because the alien that they saw had been fossilized, so like it's it'd been there for who knows how long. Those eggs had been there for who knows how long, but like they were lying in some sort of dormant state,
Mm-hmm.
and Kane falling through that mist barrier brought the eggs back to life. It kind of like restarted them.
Right. It could, yeah, that could have been like their version of like a stasis field or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it was. But yeah, and then yeah, that thing just jumping up into his face, and like you don't see the whole thing. Actually, I believe there might have been in the quote unquote director's cut. I think that they did show more of like the face hugger going into like his helmet and stuff like that. But in the theatrical cut, which is the better version.
Yeah, the director's cut. They turn around and showed it flying up, and then the tube. I'm sorry, but that damn tube looks like a freaking urethra.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
It's essentially a penis. Like, come on, let's
yeah,
be real.
that's what it's.
Well, the face hugger, it's got the hand part that it looks like, and then it looks like a vagina whenever they go to lay it down on the table, and then they start playing with the the fallopian tube penis looking thing that shoots down your throat to get the egg in there.
Yeah.
And you know, in the director's cut, it actually shows that, and then once it attaches to Kane's mask, and that's the last thing you see.
Yeah, see, I to be honest, I like how it is in the theatrical cut. I don't think we need to see that in this movie. Like, I think it's just scary that this thing
Right.
just.
It's a little gratuitous, and like what your imagination conjures up is way more frightening than what could be actually depicted.
Leave the scarier face huggers to aliens. It's like we'll let James Cameron handle that one.
Right.
But but yeah, like because that's the one thing too. The theatrical cut to me is the better version. The director's cut, it actually is a minute shorter, and some of the scenes that are there that they have kind of added in, you don't need it. It's not. The only reason that like Ridley Scott even like released that is because he was kind of strong armed by the studio to do it, but he didn't want to do that. Like he's like, yeah, I took this shit out for a reason.
Yep.
But yeah, so now Dallas, Lambert, and Kane, they're requesting like, hey, we need to get to the infirmary. There's some weird organism that attached to Kane's face, and Ripley's like, wait, what? Like, what is this thing? No, we're not like.
I like how she was like the only one, like Parker and damn it, Parker and Brent were like, no, You know, they were gone. They didn't know anything about it. And Ripley, she's like, ain't no way, no how, no, you ain't bringing that damn thing on here. You know, finally, you know, at least back in the 70s, they got the, sorry to say it, but shit, the white person on the damn ship was like, no, we're leaving on.
Did you cut out?
Did it cut out?
I think he froze up.
You froze up there. Yeah.
I froze up.
Yeah, like you were saying.
Repeat the last thing you said.
It was the white person on the on board.
Oh, the white person on board is like sitting there saying, no, let's not do this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, nowadays, 2000s, you know, now it's like you got the white person going towards danger and everybody else is like, no.
Yeah. Hey, and the black person doesn't die first in this movie.
I know, right?
That is true.
So, you know, give that one, chalk one up to some progressive.
Equality, bitches.
Yeah.
But I will say though, is like what was it? My favorite part in the whole movie is, you know, the face hugger comes off, and then you got Kane in the lunch in the cafeteria, and he's eating, and then all of a sudden he spits it up, and you got the damn alien that pops out.
Yeah. The chest burster.
So, yeah. So here's how that like came about. Like so. We get like the reveal. Like they get the helmet off. They figure out that like he's still alive. That like this thing is essentially like breathing for him.
Yep.
And they're trying to find some way to remove it, and they're trying to cut off one of the fingers, or as Ash calls them, digitals.
Yeah.
It's like what? It's like
well, I mean, yeah, technically correct. Yeah, digits.
Well, technically correct. It's your fingers are digits.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody still says fingers.
But I think it's great where you have like the science officers using the proper term.
Right.
And right. Just like, wait, what? It's like the fingers. It's like. But the brilliant thing is
in the medical field to figure that out too.
But the brilliant thing is like as they cut it, it's like it spits out all this acid. It's like so its blood is acid, which is it's like, oh, we can't just shoot the shit out of this thing. It kind of adds that like, oh, and then they're like worried it's gonna burn through the entire ship and kill them all.
Right. Whole breaches and whatnot.
Yeah. And the other thing too is you'll now that they're back on the ship, they have this thing attached to Kane's face. You'll notice how the actors kind of look very apprehensive. They're a little bit like tense. And here's what Ridley Scott. This is what I heard. I don't know if this is true or not, but that Ridley Scott would randomly like fire off a shotgun, during the course of filming, and like it's just to like. But he would do it at random times as they're going through, like so that they like they're kind of like so they're all like really tense.
Yeah. So like there's the reactions are genuine.
I mean, he was shooting blanks, but it's still like it's a shotgun. It's fucking loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why like everyone kind of like from this point in the movie on, like everyone's like really tense. It's because they're generally like, where the fuck is that blast gonna come from? So they're always looking.
Hey man, sometimes you need that asshole pucker factor coming out.
Hell yeah, it certainly plays that up, and like the facehugger finally does detach from Kane, and they're looking for it, and that was they weren't told, or Ripley or Sigourney Weaver was not told what they knew it was going to drop from somewhere, but they didn't know where and how. Mm-hmm. And so when it drops on her, she's like, "Oh shit!" It's like because she's already tense from the shotgun blast. It's like fuck. It's like she throws that thing. It's like it feels real because like it's like you would jump like that, like some thing falls on you and like you're like, oh crap, it's gonna attach to me, but it turns out once it lays its egg, it dies.
That's why I like a lot of his Ridley Scott's movies, is because you got that oh shit factor in there, and it's not really, you can't tell whenever it's coming and when it's not. The actors can't tell when it's coming and when it's not coming. That's why, honestly, that's why I like his alien movies.
Yeah. So and so here's the other thing too. So now we get to the chest burster scene. Like, first of all, when you're a character is like, man, when I get home, I'm gonna have some real food, or man, it's like I'm gonna tell my woman that I'm gonna marry her, and it's like that person's gonna die first.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And
anyone expressing hope for the future, that's the
I gotta vote.
that's the telltale sign that they're gonna die.
I just gotta vote. It's called the Live Forever. Mendoza.
It's kind of funny though, because like after watching this movie, I think, what was it? I think it was like God. I watched freaking Spaceballs.
Oh man.
And,
Yeah, I
and
think
the
they do an
funny part,
alien parody on this one too, and that's
Yeah.
yeah, because actually, if I remember right, Kane was actually the one in Spaceballs,
Yeah,
he
they
was.
did get John Hurt to reprise his role. Yeah.
and it was funny as hell because he, the alien jumped up like Frogmore does and was like,
Yeah,
"Hello,
yeah.
my honey, hello,
Yeah.
my baby, hello, my pal." And it was like, holy hell! It's like, oh my god, that is perfect.
But yeah, so everyone knew that so when it gets to the point like with the chest burster scene, so the actors knew that something was gonna happen. They didn't know what it was gonna be. So everyone but John Hurt was surprised by what was gonna happen. How is this alien? Is it gonna shit it out? Is it gonna come out of his mouth? They didn't know what was gonna happen, and so the actual act of it bursting out of his chest, they actually were genuinely like shocked and scared. Like, and it was
real reactions.
yeah, Veronica Cartwright, her reaction, like, oh God, that was her real reaction. That was not Lambert scared. That was Veronica
that was
Cartwright.
Yeah.
Hold on, Robert, do that again.
Oh God.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
Did I do a good Veronica Cartwright impersonation?
Oh yeah, brother, you got that one down pat. I give you that.
But yeah, that was her real reaction. She was like, because it's all that shit sprayed into her face, and she was like, "Fuck, this is a fucked up movie." But it's like that's another thing. It's like it's shocking, and the actors are shocked, and they're already like tense because of the fucking shotgun blast. So yeah, this is also really shocking.
Oh yeah,
and nothing like this had happened in movies before. Like there was no.
Yeah, you have to really think about the setup too, because like they probably already had like John Hurt on the table and stuff, like with the prosthetic and stuff, and had the actors come in and like to keep like to keep it completely genuine. When the chest burster came through the prosthetic, and so so you kind of wonder if any of the other actors like, oh, that's weird. John's already on the table. It's like and then it's like, and then like and just like coming into that scene, it's like you have to like wonder if if they were like sussing it out at all, before the start of that scene.
Yeah, but like from what I heard, that none of them knew that it was gonna burst out of his fucking chest. They knew something was gonna happen. They knew that there was gonna be some, like the alien was gonna show itself.
Right.
But they didn't know it was gonna do it that way. And I think the audience, like in 1979, they didn't know that it was gonna come out of his fucking chest. Yeah, it was. I mean, we if anything, like if you're paying attention, but I would say like when you watch it subsequent times, it's already telegraphed through the alien that they find on the ship. Like his whole chest is burst out.
Right.
So we if we're paying attention, we should see that. However, the first time you're watching it, you're not thinking about that.
Right. Yeah. They do telegraph it, but like in such a subtle way that you don't even think about it.
Yeah, and that's brilliant directing. That's brilliant writing. You know, it's like it's there, but if you're really looking for it, like, oh, this shit's gonna come out of his chest.
Mhm.
Well, I do know, like, I was, what was it? Whenever I watched it the other night, I do know that I think it was, oh God, Dallas, when they were searching the ship
Mm-hmm.
and they came across the alien and stuff sitting in the chair. He actually kind of pointed it out, but it was like a quick, oh wow, look at that, look at the hole, and then it
Yeah,
was
but see, this is what we were talking about earlier. If this was a proper science crew, Dallas, would have like, hey, we should probably not be here. Like, there's something wrong here, because we also see that through, like, when Ash is like, we're gonna try to remove one of the digitals. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, fingers. It's like that. He's not a dumb guy. I don't think that. I think he's a smart guy, but he's not a science smart guy.
Right. Yeah. He's
And-
he's a captain of a freighter. Yeah, but he's not a scientist.
Yep.
Yeah, if I wanted mining tips, I would talk to Dallas.
Mm.
But when it comes to like
Or
science,
yeah,
stuff,
or even like or flying the ship, or like tips on how to fly the ship. Yeah, that's Dallas is the guy that you're going to talk to. But
Exactly.
talk about like the metabolic whatever of an organism. It's like what? It's like out of his wheelhouse.
exactly, and that's the evil the brilliance of the writing, but like the evil of like the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, that they brought in these people who they're smart, but they're not like
They're not qualified for the task.
smart.
yeah.
They're not qualified for the task. It's like changing out a window with a hammer.
Well, it's like where I got confused watching this movie though is, and I know it's an old ass movie, but I still get confused to this day, because you got Ripley, who is supposed to be, what was she, like the science officer or something like that?
She was like the second
kind
officer.
of like she's like the enlisted officer essentially. So if you're looking at like the Marine Corps, she's like like I said, she's like a warrant officer.
Right. But she was still like, she had a specific job. She was like, she was still like the science officer too, wasn't she?
No, she wasn't. She's
Ash.
essentially so you have Dallas, who's the captain.
Right.
You have Kane, who's the XO.
Right.
And Ripley is the non-commissioned officer. She's the NCO.
Okay. She was the third in command.
She was or second in the chain. Or third.
So,
I'm sorry, you're right. Third.
Yeah, she's third in command, because like she said, like, when Kane and Dallas are off the ship, I'm in charge.
Right. But then, what was it? She said something about the procedures for them to be bringing Kane back on board. That she was the science person.
No, she knew the protocols. She understood.
She was just following if this, then do this. If that, then do this.
Yeah. The science officer was Ash.
Yeah.
Ash was the science officer.
Yeah, so she was just running through a checklist, basically.
I
wasn't.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if let's say like there was more people in the science area of the ship, like, so if like Ash had like some of the Ash would essentially be like the head of that department.
Right.
But he's the only one, so he's in charge of himself essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You concur. I concur with myself.
Yeah. But the other thing I like about this too, and we all have seen like the slasher films, and like kind of like where people tend to make really bad decisions in films. Like, this film does not have characters making like dumb decisions. In fact, I think they're actually making pretty smart decisions, despite not really knowing what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens that they don't realize that Ash is working against them,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like ruining their plans. And you have an alien that's actually kind of smart. It's like they don't know what the hell this thing is, but it's actually pretty intelligent. But like, I wouldn't say that the characters are making dumb decisions.
No,
No.
I wouldn't say that either.
No.
And Ripley among them, she's really smart. And but even at this point, Ripley's not the main character. She's still like one of the side characters, which is she doesn't really become the main character until everyone's dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
Like I said, that was by design.
Mhm.
And so Kane dies.
Let me ask y'all something. After Kane, who would y'all have killed first after Kane?
Honestly, I'm surprised that Lambert lasted as long as she did.
True.
Because she's fucking freaking the fuck out after that chest burst.
Yeah.
That is
She's,
honestly
she's being she's being the trope of the hysterical woman. Yeah.
She's the Kate Capshaw of the film.
There you go.
Yeah. She's actually the first person. If I was directing this movie, she'd have been the first.
We're not sinking, we're crashing.
Yeah. God.
The hysteria.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been the first one that I thought would have gone is Lambert after Kane, but she's one of the last people that survives. Because after that it's Brett that dies, isn't it?
No.
No, because they go
Kane, and then I thought Dallas went next.
No. It was Brett that died first because they were going to try to find like where that alien went to. They created the little sensor, and they had because he also Brett created the that.
No, because he went looking for Jonesy, and while they were doing the shafts and stuff, that's when Dallas died.
So no, here's how it went down because they split the group split up. You had Parker, Brett, and Lambert looking like the tiny alien. They had the sensor, they had the cattle prod. And as they're looking, that's when they find oh, we found something. It's here, and it turned out to be the cat Jonesy. It's like
Yep.
And they're like, and then we're all tense as the audience, just as they are. It's like fuck. It's like why didn't you capture it? It's just the cat. Oh, thank God. It's like oh, but shit, we need to go capture the cat so that we know that we're not going to be chasing after it again. And so they send Brett to go after Jonesy.
Yeah, because he didn't throw the net.
That's when we get the first of all, why is everything on that ship so dripping wet? That's the one thing that I couldn't figure out.
I didn't understand that myself.
Yeah, it's like, is this ship falling apart? Is it? It's like this isn't some sort of metalworks factory.
Well, it's like the old the old joke about the USS Kitty Hawk before it went and retired, man.
Yeah.
That's why they called it the Shitty Kitty.
Yeah, because I don't know if you question this too, Andy. Why is the ship so wet, dripping wet?
I mean, I know the actual answer, but so
he's going to get into the technical stuff.
Well, it's purely for a visual aesthetic. It just looks cooler.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm just saying it's like
it just looks more cinematic.
I'm gonna go with David's response. Yeah, it's like the Shitty Kitty, the Kitty Hawk, where it's a battleship that's fucking falling apart, that's leaking all over the place.
But we're still going to use it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, in the case of the Nostromo, it looked pretty much like a brand new thing. It's just but in the guts of the ship, we don't necessarily see all that stuff. So I mean, if not for the events of this movie, we would never see the inside. That we would never even know if it was wet or dry or whatever.
Right.
But because this is a movie, for purely for visual aesthetics and for just to give it more of a cinematic look, everything is wet. Just if you watch any TV show or movie, when
the
people
streets are always
streets are always wet. Why is that? Because it looks cooler or it looks better.
Here, actually, you know what? I think I have an answer. Like, that maybe makes sense. So this ship, the ship is old. Like, it's falling apart. Like, it does look used and dirt. To me, it looks dirty and used, like kind of how you would like an old battleship, essentially. Um, and we already had like with them trying to fix like all the steam pipes and all that stuff. So there's stuff that's like it's hot, it's leaking, it's probably causing like a bunch of condensation. And I think that one, that's why we get all like the dripping water and stuff. It's an old broken down ship that they've been using for probably 25 years at some point.
Well, here's another side question. On the outside this is a freighter ship.
Right.
Why the hell is this a freighter ship to be a salvage ship? Why does it have all those cannons on the outside of it?
I don't think those are cannons, or maybe like it's like where they use that to help like blast through like giant bits of rock before
or they could be communications arrays or sensor arrays.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, but okay. So Robert, you're basically saying it's like Earth science. Hot air from like the environmental systems. Like coldness of like the vacuum of space. Boom, condensation, fog, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the reason why.
All
Plus,
right, so basic Earth science.
Yeah, and so, but the other thing is, it's also a movie, and what we don't know is that the alien is constantly dripping shit. So it's a way, like, for the director to cover up the fact that the alien is dripping and gross.
But again, I think yeah, it's just like it's just a way to maybe like the shininess of the alien might actually be a way to cover up some of like the imperfections in the suit, in the costume.
Yeah, but anyways, we have Brett. He discovers like the skin of like, oh, she's like, oh, that's weird. Where is this thing? And we don't realize that it's now become the size, essentially like a 7 foot tall fucking alien. It's yeah, he's the first one to end up dying. I also want. What do you guys think about like the look of the alien? It looks cool, right? Like I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They did borrow the design of the alien from like some artist. I forget who.
H.R. Geiger is
H.R. Geiger.
Speaking of H.R. Geiger, I don't know if you guys have heard about like the when they were trying to create the film Dune. Mm-hmm. So obviously like the first one that got done was done by David Lynch. It's hot garbage. I hate that movie. But back in I think it was like it was like the late 60s, early 70s. They pretty much had everything in place. They had the director. It was some Chilean guy named Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky got all these people involved. He got all the actors. H.R. Geiger was doing all the artwork for the aesthetic of the film. He got Orson Welles. He had Salvador Dali, playing one of the characters. He had everything in place. And the reason why the movie didn't get made is because they needed like an extra month, and the studio wouldn't like give them the extra like $1 million to do it. And so the film the film didn't get done. And there's a very famous documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune that kind of catalogs all this. I mean, he has like he had everything down from like scene by scene. Everything was ready to go. He had everything planned out. Everything was good to go. And it's like, and to this day, he said, when he brought some people like to like take a look through the whole thing, and he essentially described how the movie was going to turn out, and it's like that would have been awesome. But yeah, but because of that, like H.R. Geiger became kind of famous, and so I'm not sure if it was Ridley Scott that brought him on, or whoever brought him, or if it was the production company that brought him on to do the artwork for the aliens. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's where we get the iconic design, is through this like Swiss artist. And it looks amazing. I love the look of the alien. I think it looks good.
He did a bang up job on him.
Yeah. And yeah, I think they had. I think it took what was it? It was three or four people to work the animatronic of the alien.
Mm.
But yeah, so that that was kind of, you know, like, that's a shocking reveal. That, like, oh shit, this thing, like, you know, grows really fast,
Mhm.
and now it's human size. And now we start to get into, like, the real kind of the climax of the film is, like, people start dying off one by one. Now I think after Brett, it's Dallas that dies, because he's like, okay, we're gonna go. They realize it's going through the air ducts, and so Dallas is trying to find a way to, you know, trap it in the air ducts, and we're gonna burn. We're like, well, what can we use to? We can't, like, shoot it because it has acid for blood. What can we do? Like, well, let's see fireworks. And so they rig up. They don't even have a flamethrower. They just, like, rig up, like, you know, some.
Yeah, it's not a proper flamethrower. It's just something that they basically MacGyver together.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Old MacGyver.
yeah.
Yeah, the only super, or I don't know, superhero, but only superhero to defeat bad guys through arts and crafts.
Exactly.
Let's
Yeah.
let's get a paperclip and a rubber band.
I know, paperclip, chewing gum, and rubber band.
That's a bow and arrow right there.
Right,
Yeah.
he'll build a steam engine from rubber band, paperclip, and chewing gum.
Or a block of C4 from the chewing gum.
Yeah.
But yeah, this also, like, you know, the duck scene with Dallas, that, you know, that's also been parodied a bunch of times too. Like, you know, I think most famously in The Simpsons, in Seymour
Yeah.
Skinner's Sweet Badass Song episode, like, where Bart's dog is, like, loose in the fence, and he
That's right.
around Super Willie, like, with, like, it's right behind you, sir. You know, it's you know, it's like it's essentially, like, it's a copy of this scene from Alien.
Right, yeah, because you have Willie, and then all of a sudden, like, the shot from in front to back, and you see, like, the silhouette of Santa's Little Helper, like, running past, and it's like,
It's like,
you have, like, Principal Skinner's, like, tracking him, on
Yeah.
like the monitor, like, Willie, it's right behind you.
yeah, it's like, great Caesar's ghost. Oh man, yeah. So, like you said, this you know, another reason this film is so iconic is that other people use it for their own devices.
Right,
You know, whether
right.
it be through comedy or whatever, but it's still, that's
Yeah, whether through homage or parody.
yeah. So Dallas ends up, like, it's right there, it's right, and, like, you can't see it. Like, where the hell is this thing? And this is probably, like, where, like, I think is, like, kind of like where I wouldn't say it's really scary. It's like, it's almost like, it's like the alien's like, hug me, Dallas. You know, it's, you know, it's, that. So the other thing, that this is also another scene, like, through the director's cut, that is kind of, like, so unnecessary, where it kind of sets up the idea that these that the aliens cocoon people for, you know, future base hugging to create more.
For reproduction.
Yeah, which we don't need to see in this movie. That's not the point of this movie. Like, we do get that eventually in with Aliens,
Yeah.
which I think is done a lot better. Whereas, like, yeah, the scene that they did in this film was like, no, it just doesn't work, and I'm glad they cut it out.
I'm actually glad they did too, because it'd be like, you know, it would have wasted a little bit more nostalgia for the second one.
Yeah, but now Ripley is she is in command. She's she's the highest commanding officer on the ship, because now that Kane and Dallas are dead, and so they're trying to. This is where I think she starts to discover that there's something wrong with Ash. It's like, you know, Ash, you know, have you and Mother figured anything out? It's like, we're still collating. It's like, really? Like, you're still, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's like, well, okay, well, you keep doing it. Like, and they're trying to, you know, Parker's like, he's pissed because his best friend is dead. And he's like, yeah, I want to fuck this thing up. And it's like, Parker, sit your ass down. We're going to figure this out. And it's like, we're gonna split up. We're gonna do this. And it's like, Ash, you just keep fucking doing nothing. Like you've been doing this whole goddamn time. It's like, and so she goes and
Keep being a retard and just stand there and lick the window for a little bit.
yeah. But now she goes and talks to Mother and trying to figure out like, does Mother know something that's going on? And I think I just also thought about this too, going back to like how Metroid took a lot of inspiration off of this. Mother is like kind of like the brain, the computer, the computer brain of the ship and everything. And the evil, the big boss in Metroid is Mother Brain. I'm kind of, and I wonder if like that was kind of their idea. Like obviously they didn't have.
I'm sure they. I mean, given like all of the borrowed visual aesthetics, then it probably is.
Yeah, but she goes and like what she ends up discovering is the truth of like why what the point of them going to that planet was, and it turns out that the company is like the goal is for them to get this like alien on board, and that's the only mission. All the members of the crew are expendable.
Yep.
And Ash, who we still don't realize that he's an android that is kind of he's the arm of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. But all of a sudden he just pops up in the computer room. It's like fuck, and that's where like it's revealed that he is the evil bastard of the movie.
Well, yeah, he's the representative, like he's the Burke of this movie.
He's Burke.
Yeah,
I liked it whenever they were Ripley and Ash were arguing, and all of a sudden you see him sitting there looking at her, and he starts sweating, and it's white.
And it's like, wait, what the?
Like, oh, dude, it's like, what the hell is that?
Oh, so here's how that the blood that's used for the androids. Apparently it was like some sort of like yogurt cottage cheese mixture, and what ended up happening during the filming is that because they had like buckets of this shit, and it went rancid throughout because it got like too hot. So they all like were getting sick and throwing up, and like it was worse because Ian Holm had to have that shit in his mouth, and it's all rancid and gross. It's like, oh, but God.
Well, I guess that's probably where him using the magazine to kill Ripley and stuff. I guess
that's
probably do the same thing.
Have you ever tried to choke somebody with a magazine?
Man.
Actually, that is one of the one scenes I will say I laughed the hell out of because it was like
it's fuck because I was like it's like it was some porno magazine that she because you see all like the nudie pics that are there. That must have been Parker or Brett's room.
No, easily. Come on, for sure it was.
What was it? Watching that scene and then seeing that, it was like, how the hell are you going to choke somebody with that? It don't make no sense because you got a hole and then you're still able to breathe. And then thinking about it from a medical standpoint is, okay, you got this magazine in there, you're shoving it down their throat. They're still able to breathe, but yet they can't. Okay, you're shoving. Okay, gotcha. You're dislocated. You're going to break your jaw. Dislocated.
Here's what I'm thinking, like, because he's an android. He has we see him like as he's essentially throwing Ripley around like a rag doll.
Oh yeah, he does do that really.
So he's strong. I mean, he even like almost like ripped out like the chest muscle of Parker.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if like either the goal was to like cause her to like vomit and choke on her own vomit.
Yeah.
It was like because he's so strong, he was gonna like essentially like stab that thing through her fucking throat or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still like I've never tried to choke somebody with a magazine before. That's an interesting way to die.
I like when Parker hit him the first time with the fire extinguisher.
Like he did a Three Stooges routine.
Yeah, and then he kept hitting him, and it was like, holy crap!
And it's like, yeah, that's and I don't. Did he keep hitting him with the fire extinguisher, or did he hit him with like a bat or something like that? Because
No, he kept with the fire extinguisher.
yeah, because then it finally
Was that when? Yeah, is that when he like gets it decapitated?
Yeah. And it's like, oh shit, he's a fucking android. Oh, what the hell? Like that was shocking. That was a shocking reveal to all of them.
Yeah.
And I think it was shocking to us as well. Like we knew something was weird about like Ash. Like we knew he was a bad guy.
Right.
But like as far as like him being an android, I think that was kind of a shocker. Like I don't think
that was definitely
yeah. Because we could understand like how if he was like an agent for the company, but then like to go even further to be like this guy's not even a human being.
right.
Yeah. And he had those like weird anal beads in his
in his neck. Yeah.
I'm so glad I wasn't the only one that noticed that.
That's right.
I'm so glad about that. Even my own wife, who walked into the living room as I'm watching it, and that scene pops up, and she's like, "What is that?" And then I paused it, and she's like, "What is that?" I was like, "You tell me what that looks like." And she's like, I don't want to say it. I'm like, babe, think about it. They're anal beads, man. It's just a long loop of anal beads inside this dude's body. And she was like, I'm going back into the room.
Yeah, I don't know how that works or like what the hell that thing does. But yeah, it looked like fucking anal beads. It was gross.
Yeah. I mean, like I think the most generous interpretation I can give is perhaps that they're bladders, and so like kind of like they like it's so they kind of like hold the fluid and like they help transport it throughout the androids, like kind of like a circulatory system.
Yeah, but what that could be.
It could be a way of their way of protecting the wires and everything that's inside of the body as well.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the other thing too, like because now it's revealed that he's an android. It's like now when you watch the film again and you're watching Ash, notice how he never eats.
Yeah, that is true.
Never eats or drinks anything. Even at the and here's the other thing too. During the scene like where Kane is starting like he's about to have that chest burster scene. Also watch Ash.
There's no emotion.
Ash knows what's gonna happen. I think he knows what's gonna happen because he's looking almost in anticipation of like, oh, here it is. I think he knows that it's gonna that alien is gonna come forth from his chest. I think the company and has more information that they obviously are not telling. And that's where like I think where the two new movies, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, are kind of like leading up to like how like why the company knows to begin with what's on that planet.
Right. Well, see, I've seen Prometheus. Like I told you earlier, the only one I'm wanting to watch and need to watch is Covenant.
It's not bad. It's good.
I'm gonna check that one out later.
But yeah, so they find out that so Ash, they finally stop Ash from like trying to kill Ripley. And this is and they figure out like you get the kind of like the full on big reveal that like there was the point like they have no chance against the alien and that the company is against them. And I think at this point,
like when they sorry, not to cut you off, when they restarted his head, were y'all not curious on how they didn't get the shit shocked out of them?
Yeah, like I'm kind of like unless like that blood, that weird like milky solution is not like it doesn't maybe it doesn't
electric
conduct
current.
electricity. It's like a insulation type of thing, like where it doesn't conduct electricity.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But it's future technology, so
Right.
But
So
yeah,
we don't really know.
but yeah, so it's like, you know, my sympathies are with you. It's like fuck you, Ash, fucking prick.
I don't know why I even thought about that one. It was just like, you know, how are you gonna sit here and stick your hands in some wet liquid and shock the shit out of somebody and not get shocked yourself? But yeah, that's just me.
But yeah, then I forget, like, so then now it's just Parker, Ripley, and Lambert.
Yep.
Lambert has that thing like where like the alien tail like kind of crawls up her leg in like some weird kind of sexual way. Like there was something like oddly sexual about that, like where it's like it's kind of gross.
I wish they would have showed that.
You know that shit went up like it ripped her from like her pussy on like
It had, man.
Yeah,
I
basically,
would
yeah.
swear to
Basically
God.
tore in half.
I think she got ripped apart like like a bone tomahawk.
Oh gosh, brutal.
Jesus.
Brutal.
That was a beautiful, brutal movie.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you did that with us, didn't you? Didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
sir,
right.
I
You were on with us to review Bone Tomahawk. Oh, God,
Hey,
that,
man, it's a damn good movie. I'm glad y'all told me about it.
that movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's a shame that it's more of like kind of like there's a cult following as opposed to having
That should be a big hit, to be honest.
Yeah, it should have been a big hit.
It should have.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's just a shame that it only has a cult following.
Remind me how Parker died. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his death.
They showed him right after. I think it was right before Lambert. He got hit in the back of the head. The alien.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Before
alien.
Lambert.
And then that left Lambert right there.
I think he was the penultimate death of the film.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Parker then Lambert.
Yeah. I believe so. If I'm wrong,
for some reason though, I'm like remembering at the end it was Ripley and Parker.
Hold on 1 second.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I could be misremembering.
Yeah, no, because I'm looking at like the towards the end of the plot on their Wikipedia site, and it just says the remaining crew decides to self-destruct in the Nostromo. That's kind of like they're gonna blow the ship up,
right?
And they're gonna take the escape pod essentially, and blow off the rest of the ship to destroy the alien.
Yeah, because
Parker and Lambert are ambushed and killed by the creature. So I think Parker was killed first, and then it went after Lambert after that. Because I think Parker and Lambert were together, and killed by the creature while gathering life support supplies. Oh, that's right. That's what they were doing. The plan was to They figured out we're gonna destroy the ship. We're gonna blow it all to hell, but we need some supplies for the escape pod so that they could survive.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just looked up the death order. Yeah. Lambert impaled by tail, and then Parker gets mauled.
Hey, so he was like the last guy to die.
Yeah.
So like I said, he wasn't the
quality
first
bitches.
Yeah. But yeah, they died pretty close. They both died pretty close together.
Yeah, within a matter of a minute or two.
Yeah. And then it's left up to Ripley, and so she sets up the self-destruct sequence, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She gets on the. We think that she's trapped the alien in the Nostromo. She's on the escape ship with Jonesy, of course. Can't kill
Oh
her.
yeah, you can't leave the cat alone.
Yeah. And
Did y'all notice, like, right before she got on the escape pod, that she had Jonesy in the crate, right?
yeah,
And she tosses that crate with that cat inside of it. And it was like, are you kidding me? Like, good Lord.
like, hey, it's like he'll survive. It's fine. It's just like let's just get his ass on the ship.
Ain't no lie. And then I like how she puts Jonesy into the sleep chamber first.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's like doing everything. And then it was like, I think the best part with the alien is how it was curled up into the ship wall.
Yeah, that's the thing, because you're like, okay, finally, the ship is, there, she's escaped. She blew up the Nostromo. Oh, we're safe. We got rid of the alien, and it's like, it's we're gonna head back to Earth.
Right.
But then you look at the time. Like, I was like, man, the movie should be over. And you look at like how much time is left, and
Sorry.
The hell is going on here?
Oh, nothing. Sorry. I was trying to troubleshoot. Your screen is frozen, David, but we can still hear you.
My screen went from it's got you and Robert into some kind of like spaceship.
Yeah. I was like trying to get your screen activated on the stream, but
Oh, okay, I got you.
yeah. It's usually sometimes if you mess around with it, that's how it works. Right now your face is frozen. You're like kind of like mean mugging the camera.
that's his permanent look.
Right.
I did not have resting bitch face, y'all.
You know when your mom says don't make faces, your face will freeze like that. That's what happened to David.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Jesus
Christ.
I'll just
What the hell?
Okay. All right. I just
We got
created a
you.
window for you.
I got you and Robert on one side. My ass is on the other side of the spaceship.
But
all right. Okay. You're back. I'll just quickly do this.
But what I was saying is like we think that everything is safe, and like we're okay. The movie's ending. Everything's good. And then you look at the time. It's like we have like 15 minutes left in this film. Something's gonna happen. And
Exactly.
the alien has like curled up in the escape ship, and we see it like just like start to move around. And I love how it's like it kind of curled itself up into like the wiring and whatever. It's oh man, and why that thing did not attack her like from the get go, I have no idea. But she had time to sneak in to. She's like, I gotta blow this thing out the airlock, and so
I think honestly, the only reason why it didn't attack her, I think it was because it was just while it was in the wall because of outer space, being as cold as it is, I think it was just started getting into that real nice hibernation. And
Right.
it was feeling
That was what I was suspecting as well. Is that that the xenomorph is atmosphere contingent or sensitive. So
yeah.
Right.
like the relative warmth of the spaceship, like of the Nostromo, allowed it to be more active. But since it was in a smaller containment pod that hadn't even been activated yet, so being in a colder environment, kind of put it into like sleep mode basically.
Yep. I will say this though, is like Good old Sigourney Weaver, man. She was actually pretty cute back in them days.
In
But,
1979, that was a great 1979 body.
Yes. I will say this though, is like there's nothing beats them underwear, dude. Them white cotton panties that she had on, and no ass.
No ass at
No
all.
ass whatsoever.
And the hair between the legs, man.
Yeah.
That's what killed me, because when she threw her leg up to get into the flight suit, or the flight suit and stuff, you could see it, man. It was just a raging bush in there.
Jesus Christ.
And it was like, oh my God. It was like this, you look for a good horror movie and then this pops up at the very end. No sex during the whole thing, and then bam, you get a hairy bush shot, and it's still got underwear on it.
Yeah. But yeah, but this ends up becoming like one of the kind of the tropes of the franchise of we got to blow the alien out of the airlock.
Oh yeah.
Now see, it works in the first two films, but then it's almost like, okay, well, it doesn't happen in the third one, but it happens in the fourth, in Resurrection.
Yep.
Which is really fucking gross, by the way. That one is really gross. But
Yeah.
Well, here, let me throw this out to y'all. Okay. The xenomorph's blood is supposed to be acid, right?
Yeah.
So explain to me, how in the hell, when she shoots it with that grappler and it hits the xenomorph in the chest to blow it out the airlock, how in the hell does it get back onto the outside of the ship? Because if its blood is made of acid, as soon as she hits it, while it's stuck in the door, as soon as she hits it, that thing should melt. That thing should start dissolving. That was the only part of this movie that I did not like.
Yeah. Well, it's because we had to end the movie, David. That's why.
You got to end the movie, but it would have been a little bit better, to see it as soon as it hits the chest, that as it's falling out of the door shuts, and the afterburner, the engines kick on, and then that's what kills it, right? But no, the damn thing crawls back up on the wire and curls up into the engine, and then she hits the afterburners, and the afterburners fucking cook this son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I hadn't thought about that until you brought it up, but yeah, you're right. It should have. Yeah,
because if it's dissolving the floor whenever it gets hit, whenever it gets hit and everything, if the blood dissolves the hull of the ship, it should have done the same thing to the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, food for thought. That's right, bitch.
Yeah. No, hey, it's like I said, it's a near perfect film, but there's a few things in there.
Yeah, are there inconsistencies? Yes. But does it ultimately detract from the enjoyment of the movie? I would say no.
No, of course not.
Yeah, and okay, we got it back.
God, what the hell is going on?
But yeah, that's pretty much the film. Like it's and where Ripley gives her kind of like her final message. Kind of like detailing the events of what happened in the Nostromo, like what they went through. Mm-hmm. That she's the final survivor, and we won't see her again for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was 80 years? That
it was 50. It was 60 some years, I think.
60 some years. Enough time for her daughter to grow old and die.
Yeah. Oh, it was 56 years, I believe. But yeah. Well, no. Well, in the from Alien to Aliens, 56 years has passed.
Yeah.
But what do you guys? You guys have any more thoughts about Alien? Anything else? Like, or do you want to give our rating?
I'm ready to get a rating.
All right. Well, one last thing. I think to add is that I think this the Alien was a great. I think it expressed the anxieties of the time that which is made, and I think it kind of bore fruit like in the world that we're living today, and it's like the anxiety of like companies or corporations becoming as powerful as governments, or like in I believe in the universe of Alien, like the corporation eventually became the government.
Yeah,
And
They did.
so yeah, I think it was a good. I think it was a good like what's the fifth thing?
it was kind of a good foreshadowing of
Yeah, it was
like
a good
what.
yeah, it was a good foreshadowing of what was like what was eventually going to happen to the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In the terms of like corporations, amassing like too much power. And I mean, and we see that now, like with like especially within like like the new tech uh, market with like social media and internet based businesses in general.
Yeah. That is true.
yeah. I think that and since then, like a lot of like there's a game also called The Outer Worlds that kind of deals with that same thing too, with these companies that have essentially become governments that have colonized these other planets, and
Mm,
the trouble that ensues from from that happening. And we're not far away from that, to be honest.
mm.
Yeah, as long as we get Biden out of office.
But
Hopefully the next president will know how to walk up a set of stairs.
Or
or
at least not fall up, or at least know how not to fall up them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is true. That is true.
All right. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. So,
well, David,
yeah.
you're the guest. Why don't you give the rating for Alien out of
Yeah.
what's your five? Is it
Yeah,
what's
it's
your
five.
rating? 5
Let's out of
stars.
5.
Oh man, I'm gonna go for 4.75. Almost a 5.
Okay.
You just can't get over that like last scene, can you?
The last scene, man, that is honestly the only thing that killed me, man, about the whole
Uh,
all, everything else for this movie is literally, to me, is perfect. Like having the nostalgia of watching it as a kid, and granted, yes, I grew up on horror movies. This is like the perfect starter for anybody who wants to scare the piss out of their kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. For sure.
So yeah, 4.75.
4.75 for David. Andy, how about you?
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a solid 4.
Oh wow, okay. Like any particular reason why you're giving it a 4?
Solid 4. I just think everything from like set design to storytelling. Yeah, I know there's like I would agree with David that if you're being hyper critical, then yeah, that last scene does kind of it does knock a point off. But otherwise, performance, setting, story, direction, everything was great. So for those reasons,
Oh
I
yeah.
give it a 4.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I think it is a near perfect movie. It gave us one of the greatest action stars in with Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, one of the coolest characters in film history. Um, I think that all the actors are amazing. Uh, I like the story. I like the characters. I like the alien. I think everything about the movie is just fucking awesome.
Mm.
And so yeah, 4.5 stars for me. It is a must watch. As David was saying, it's a really good introductory horror film. Especially if you like science fiction and you like horror, well, this throws both of those together.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And honestly, you feel truly like isolated and alone in this film, because where are you gonna go? Like how you can't really escape the terror.
Right. And
No,
wasn't
you
like the
can't.
tagline for this movie like in space,
No
no
one
one
can
can
hear
hear
you
you
scream.
scream. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one will hear you. I promise.
But yeah, that's what we had. That's all we had to say about Alien. I think it's been a fun time with you, David. Anything anything of yours that you want to plug? Any social media handles you want to plug?
Actually, guys, if y'all want to check me out, I'm starting Devil May Cry 5 for the PlayStation on Monday.
Okay.
So check me out, Dark Avenger, 1079, I believe is what the channel is. So still trying to do a little work on it, but give me a look.
All right, sounds good. And if you want to reach out to Andy and me, you can hit our social medias. We have Instagram, Circle of Jerks Podcast, on Twitter and Letterboxd. We are at Podcast COJ. You can catch us every Tuesday around 6 o'clock for our live stream of Nocturnal Transmissions. And if you like video game stuff, there's some stuff that I do on Up by Up Down. That's all on the Circle of Jerks podcast YouTube channel. And yeah, David, we thank you for coming on. This is our second time.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, this is the our second try at the Alien review. We had some trouble the last time, but we got it to work this time. So I'm happy about that, and I think it was well worth the wait.
It was worth it. I appreciate it, guys, for giving me another chance, man. It's
like I said, shit happens
around here.
You live a very wild life, so we understand.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. We'll have some more content coming out very soon, so keep a lookout. And until that time, we will see you and have a good time.
Deuces.
Y'all have a good one, man.